What if the world around you isn't happening to you, but through you? What if every thought you think echoes? What if every belief you hold, conscious or not, becomes the blueprint for the life you experience? We've been taught to see reality as something external, something fixed, something separate from us. But ancient teachings, echoed in Hermetic wisdom, mystical traditions, and even quantum physics, say otherwise. They say, all is mind, that your consciousness is not just perceiving reality, it's creating it. Every limitation you see, every opportunity you miss, every cycle that repeats, it all starts where your awareness lives, your inner world. So the question isn't just, can I create my reality? The real question is, what have I been creating all along without even knowing it? This is more than manifestation. This is mentalism, the first law of creation. And once you truly understand it, there's no going back. Because you don't need to chase power. You just need to remember it's already in your mind. What if reality isn't just something you observe, but something that observes you back? There's a sacred law, ancient, often forgotten, but never untrue, that says, the all is mind. This is the foundation of mentalism, the first principle of the Hermetic teachings. It doesn't ask you to believe in magic. It invites you to remember that you are the magic. Your outer world, the people you meet, the opportunities you attract, the patterns that repeat, isn't random. It's not disconnected from your inner world. It's a mirror, not always literal, not always obvious, but always reflecting something back to you. And that something is your consciousness. Have you ever had a day where your mood seemed to shape everything? Where one anxious thought led to 3 problems? Where one moment of presence seemed to open up flow, clarity, even synchronicity? This isn't coincidence. This is coherence. Because whether you're aware of it or not, you are always emitting a signal, a vibrational field made of thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and intention. And the universe, like a living intelligence, is always responding. But here's the part most people miss. Your mind isn't just what you think. It's what you expect. It's what you believe you deserve. It's what you hold on to unconsciously when no one's looking. That's why transformation doesn't start outside. It begins within, not just with positive thoughts, but with a deeper kind of mental alchemy, a shift in perception, a reclaiming of responsibility for the invisible choices you've been making through the thoughts you repeat and the energy you feed. And no, this doesn't mean you're to blame for every painful thing that's happened. It means you're powerful enough to shift what comes next. There's a reason so many ancient traditions taught silence, presence, meditation, not as a way to escape life, but to master it. Because when you begin to direct your own mental current, the world moves with you. So pause and ask yourself, what are you thinking behind your thinking? What do you expect from life? And does that expectation truly reflect your soul? The truth is, every person is walking through a different version of this world, filtered by the unique lens of their consciousness. 2 people can experience the same moment and walk away with completely different realities. Why? Because it's not the moment itself that shapes the experience. It's the mind interpreting it. So before we talk about shaping your external world, we must begin where it all starts, with the realization that your mind is the mold, your thoughts are the clay, and your awareness is the fire that brings form into being. The world is not just happening around you, it's answering you. You don't have to force it. You just have to tune into the truth that's already echoing through your being, that everything outside is an extension of what you've accepted inside. And if that's true, then maybe the only thing standing between you and a completely different life is a different way of seeing yourself, and the power that's always been yours to shape the unseen into the seen. Let's begin. At the root of all spiritual wisdom, mystical systems, and esoteric teachings lies one foundational truth. Everything is mind. This is not a metaphor, it is not a symbolic gesture, it is the first and most fundamental Hermetic principle, mentalism. And once you begin to understand it, not just intellectually, but vibrationally, it changes everything. Mentalism teaches us that the universe itself is a mental projection, that the origin of everything that exists, from stars to souls, from thoughts to timelines, begins not in matter, but in mind. Not your mind as an individual human brain, but the mind, the all, the infinite consciousness from which all things emerge. So what does this mean for you? It means that you are not separate from the source of creation. You are an extension of it, a spark of the great original thought walking in human form. And therefore your thoughts, the ones you entertain every day, the ones you whisper to yourself when no one is listening, are not meaningless. They are creative acts. They are energy in motion, shaping the field that surrounds you. Can you feel the weight of that responsibility? Can you feel the beauty of that power? Your mind is not just a receiver, it's a transmitter. Your beliefs are not just passive ideas, they are instructions. Your imagination is not just a daydream, it is the first phase of manifestation. Every building was once a vision. Every invention was once a thought. Every life shift began in someone's inner world before it became matter. So many of us try to change our lives by rearranging the external, the job, the relationship, the habits. But the principle of mentalism reminds us that creation always begins from the inside out. If you want to change your life, you must first change the mental pattern that's projecting it. And yet, most people walk through life with minds on autopilot, replaying the same fears, looping the same doubts, aligning with beliefs they inherited, not beliefs they chose. And then they wonder why their reality doesn't shift, why manifestation feels blocked, why the same lessons return again and again. But when you begin to observe your mind, something profound happens. You create distance between the thought and the thinker. You begin to notice, this idea I keep feeding, is it even mine? You begin to question, what kind of world am I unconsciously building with this internal dialogue? This is the beginning of sovereignty. This is when your consciousness moves from reaction to creation. Mentalism also teaches us that the divine blueprint of the universe, the order behind chaos, the intelligence behind evolution, is conscious. It's alive. It's not a cold mechanism. It's a responsive field, reflecting back not what you say you want, but what your mind accepts as real. So when you declare a new reality, but deep down still carry the belief that you are unworthy or powerless or separate, the signal becomes fractured. You may affirm abundance, but if your mental baseline is fear or lack, that's the frequency the universe will answer. This isn't punishment, it's precision. The universe cannot be fooled because it doesn't hear your words. It hears your vibration. That's why true creation begins in stillness, not in effort or hustle, but in deep alignment, in the quiet reclamation of your inner landscape. So ask yourself now, what kind of world have your thoughts been building without your permission? What beliefs have been shaping your days behind the scenes? You don't have to control every thought, but you do have to become aware of the ones you keep empowering. Because when you take command of your mind, not by force, but by presence, the world around you starts to bend in ways you never imagined. People shift, patterns dissolve, paths open, not because magic has suddenly entered your life, but because you finally remembered that you were always the magic. Mentalism isn't just a concept to be studied, it's a truth to be lived. And the moment you begin to live from it, you no longer walk through life as a victim of chance. You walk as a conscious creator, shaping reality from the inside out. This is the first law, and it's only the beginning. Close your eyes for a moment and ask yourself, what if everything you see out there is actually happening in here? What if your mind is not just perceiving reality, but projecting it? This is not about fantasy. It's not wishful thinking. It's one of the most ancient and profound truths that mystics, sages, and spiritual scientists have repeated across time. The external world is a mirror of your internal state. Imagine your consciousness as a beam of light, and your mind as the lens. Whatever beliefs, thoughts, emotions, and stories you carry in that lens, they shape the light, bending it, coloring it, distorting it, focusing it. And that light, that's what gets projected into your reality. This means you're not passively experiencing the world, you're casting it. And most people are doing this unconsciously. They walk through life reacting to what they think is reality, not realizing they are responding to the very world their own mind is projecting. They say, life is unfair, and continue to experience injustice. They believe nothing ever works out for me, and watch one sabotage after another unfold. Not because the universe is cruel, but because the projector doesn't lie. It plays whatever film is loaded inside. So what film have you been playing? Your mind is not neutral. It is a meaning-making machine. It translates data, sensory input, memory, and expectation into a coherent experience. But it always does so through a filter. That filter is shaped by your conditioning, your wounds, your programming, your past, your identity, and most powerfully, your beliefs. Two people can walk through the same event and have completely different experiences. One sees failure, the other sees opportunity. One feels rejected, the other feels redirected. Why? Because they're not just seeing with their eyes, they're seeing through the lens of their mind. Your perception is projection. And the more you become aware of this, not as a philosophy, but as a living truth, the more responsibility you begin to take for what shows up in your field. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what part of me is this reflecting back? You begin to trace the pattern. You begin to meet the places in your mind that still carry fear, scarcity, separation, shame, or resistance, not to judge them, but to reclaim them. Because you can't change the movie on the screen until you change the reel inside the projector. Here's the part many people miss. The mind doesn't just project what it wants, it projects what it expects. And most of our expectations are unconscious. They come from our earliest imprints, from societal conditioning, from ancestral patterns, and from the collective field around us. You might consciously want love, but unconsciously expect abandonment. You might affirm abundance, but silently expect struggle. You might visualize success, but still believe you're not enough to receive it. And so the projection stays the same, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because the deepest reality is the one you believe beneath the surface. But once you see it, you can shift it. This is the sacred power of awareness. When you begin to observe your mind, not attach to it, not suppress it, but witness it, you start to reclaim your creative authority. You become more than just the one experiencing the movie. You become the director. And that's when the magic begins. Reality bends when the mind becomes conscious of itself. Time stretches. Synchronicities multiply. New paths emerge, not because the world changed, but because you did. So what would happen if you updated the projection? What would shift if you changed the stories you tell yourself? What would open if you began to imagine a reality where you are worthy, supported, aligned, and sovereign, and then lived as though it were already true? You don't have to wait for permission. You don't have to wait for proof, because reality doesn't give you proof first. It gives you feedback. Your life is always responding to the vibration of your consciousness. Every person you meet, every challenge you face, every blessing you receive is not random. It's resonance. And when your inner world becomes clear, intentional, and aligned, your outer world begins to reflect that clarity back. Not instantly, not always in the way you expect, but with unwavering precision. Your mind is the projector. Your beliefs are the lens. Your reality is the screen. So ask yourself now, what have I been unknowingly projecting into the world? What reality could I begin to create if I changed the way I think? Because the moment you begin to take command of your mind, with presence, with compassion, and with courage, you stop being the audience to your life and start becoming its conscious architect. And that is where creation truly begins. If everything begins in the mind, how exactly does it reach the world of form? How do silent thoughts, invisible, weightless, become something that can shape relationships, create opportunities, affect your health, or even shift the path of your life? To understand this, We need to step beyond the surface of thought and into its vibration. Thoughts are not just fleeting mental images or random words echoing in your head. Every thought carries an energetic signature. It emits a frequency, a very real, measurable vibration, and that frequency begins to ripple into the field around you the moment it is born. Not one is wasted. Not one goes unnoticed by the universe. The moment you think, you transmit. This is why mentalism, the idea that the all is mind, is considered the first law of creation in Hermetic philosophy, because it all begins here, before matter, before action, before outcome. Everything that exists first began as a thought, a seed in consciousness, a silent impulse vibrating in the unseen, long before it became something you could touch. And those vibrations, they don't just stay in your head, they radiate into your energetic field. They interact with the morphic field, the great web of energy that connects all beings, all timelines, all possibilities. And in that quantum field, like attracts like, frequency meets frequency, and form begins to organize itself around the vibration you hold. Let that sink in for a moment. Your thoughts shape the energetic blueprint that your physical life then mirrors. This means that every thought you think is either building or distorting your field. It's either strengthening your alignment or pulling you out of resonance. It's either opening the channel between your soul and the universe or closing it. This is why repetitive thought patterns are so powerful. They don't just repeat in your head, they become your dominant signal. They become your energetic command to reality, whether you realize it or not. A single thought may pass like a cloud, but a belief, a thought you keep thinking, becomes a structure, a pattern, a magnet, a frequency loop. So if you constantly think, "I'm not safe," your field begins to vibrate with hypervigilance and fear. And the world responds, not because it's against you, but because it's resonating with your signal. If you walk around silently thinking, "I'm always alone," you broadcast isolation. And slowly, the people around you begin to drift, confirming the very reality your mind has already decided is true. But here's the empowering truth. You can change the frequency by changing the thought. You are not a prisoner of your mind. You are its guardian, its sculptor, its architect. When you become aware of the thoughts you've been looping and begin to shift them with intention, presence, and repetition, you start to rewrite the vibration you live in. And as you do, reality begins to shift. Not because the outer world suddenly changed, but because you did. This is not the same as positive thinking. It's not about bypassing your emotions or forcing affirmations on top of pain. It's about becoming honest with what you're broadcasting. It's about looking inward and asking, what frequencies are my thoughts sending into the world right now? What beliefs have I unconsciously made real through repetition? What would happen if I chose to think in alignment with my highest truth? Because here's the deeper secret. Thought doesn't just create energy, it also creates matter. Over time, repeated frequencies begin to organize energy into patterns, and those patterns become habits, and those habits become form. They become your relationships, your body, your finances, your health, your path. This is why ancient mystics, yogis, shamans, and quantum physicists all point to the same truth. You are not observing reality, you are co-creating it through the frequency of your inner world. Every thought is a signal. Every signal becomes a vibration. Every vibration calls form into being. So now the question is, are you creating with intention or by default? You can begin to feel the difference in your own body. Thoughts that are aligned with your truth will feel expansive. Thoughts that are based in fear, scarcity, or programming will feel tight, heavy, or numb. Your body is wise. Your nervous system doesn't lie. It knows which thoughts are harmonizing your field and which ones are fragmenting it. And the more you pay attention to that, the more you become a conscious tuner of your own frequency. You begin to think on purpose. You begin to align your thoughts with your soul, not your wounds. And as you do, your field shifts. And as your field shifts, so does your life. You're not just thinking, You're broadcasting, you're shaping, you're creating. Right now, with every thought, you are sending out a vibration that life will mirror back to you. So what will you choose to think and feel and become? Because the more intentional you are with your thoughts, the more magnetic, aligned, and powerful your field becomes. And that's when the universe begins to echo your frequency in ways you never imagined. At the center of every life, behind every pattern, and beneath every manifestation, there is belief. Not just thoughts you repeat, but truths you accept. Internal contracts you didn't even know you signed. Stories passed down, adopted, and eventually embodied. Beliefs are not merely ideas. They are frequencies, deep, encoded signals that shape how you perceive the world, how the world responds to you, and how energy flows through your field. And the most potent ones are rarely the loudest. They are the quiet assumptions, the unquestioned norms, the "this is just how things are" narratives that live at the core of your being. What you accept, you create. The moment a belief is accepted as truth, your energy aligns with it. Your field begins to organize reality around it. Your perception narrows. Your actions adjust. Your nervous system calibrates to its tone. And without even noticing it, your belief becomes your lens, filtering every experience, confirming itself again and again. This is how cycles form. Not because the universe is cruel or mechanical, but because beliefs are self-replicating frequencies. They emit a signal, attract evidence to match it, and reinforce themselves through repetition and emotional charge. For example, if somewhere along the way you accepted the belief that "I'm not worthy of love," that belief becomes more than a sentence. It becomes a structure, a living vibration that you unconsciously carry into every connection. And so you begin to interpret silence as rejection. You shy away from vulnerability. You settle for half-hearted attention. You tolerate what confirms the belief. And over time, that belief, though false, feels true, because it shaped your experience until the experience became your proof. This is the hidden power of belief. It doesn't just shape what you perceive. It also edits out what you're not resonant with. You literally become blind to the possibilities that contradict the frequency you've accepted. Which means, if you want to change your reality, you must begin by examining what you've agreed to believe. But here's the part that most people miss. You don't have to wait until your beliefs feel true to begin shifting them. Because beliefs are not fixed. They are adopted, installed, and they can be rewritten if you're willing to become conscious of them. Ask yourself, what do I believe about love, safety, abundance, healing? Where did that belief come from? Was it mine, or did I inherit it? And more importantly, does this belief feel like expansion, or does it feel like contraction? This isn't about judging yourself for having limiting beliefs. It's about realizing that your mind is not a passive receiver. It's a powerful architect, and it has built rooms inside you. Some of those rooms feel like home, others feel like cages. The key is recognizing you are not the architecture. You are the builder. You can walk out, you can remodel, you can choose again. Because beliefs don't just sit in your mind, they live in your body. They affect your posture, your tone of voice, the openness of your heart, the way you move through a room. Belief informs embodiment, and embodiment tells the universe what to echo back. This is why affirmations, on their own, sometimes fail. If the body does not believe it, the energy behind the words is hollow. You can't just say, "I am abundant," if your entire nervous system is vibrating scarcity. The belief must be integrated. It must be felt, not just recited. But here's the alchemy. Belief can be reprogrammed through emotion, repetition, and presence. Each time you catch a limiting belief and meet it with curiosity instead of agreement, you weaken its hold. Each time you choose a new thought and embody it with feeling and act as if it were already true, you install a new frequency in your field. And over time, that frequency attracts different outcomes, different people, different realities. Because you are not here to be at the mercy of unconscious agreements. You are here to become aware of them, to reclaim your power of choice, to align with beliefs that reflect your soul, not your wounds, to remember that what you accept, you invite, and what you invite becomes the shape of your world. Beliefs are spells, and you are the one casting them. So be intentional with what you accept as truth. Question what you've normalized. Dare to believe what your highest self already knows is real, even before the world shows it to you. Because the moment you believe differently, reality has no choice but to reorganize itself around the new frequency you carry. And that, right there, is how you begin to shape your life, not from reaction, but from remembrance. Everything you've lived so far has been filtered through a single lens, your mind. Every choice, every relationship, every perceived limitation or miracle, it all passed through your internal coding system. And if the mind is the filter, then your reality is the projection. The outer world bends itself, subtly but consistently, to reflect what your inner world believes to be possible. So what happens when that filter is fogged by trauma, old narratives, or unconscious programming? What kind of world do you build when the blueprint was designed in survival, not sovereignty? The truth is, your reality isn't fixed. It is plastic, mutable, fluid. And the bridge between what is and what could be is the rewiring of your mind. But let's be clear. Rewiring your mind is not just about thinking positively or forcing new thoughts into old wounds. It's not about pretending to be healed or bypassing pain with spiritual slogans. True rewiring begins with awareness, and awareness is presence without judgment. It is the sacred moment when you finally see the pattern for what it is and choose not to run from it. Think of your neural pathways like rivers. The longer a belief or emotional response has been repeated, the deeper the groove. When something triggers that belief, the water, your attention, your energy, flows effortlessly in that same old direction. That's why healing often feels hard, because you are trying to redirect a river. But here's the power you hold: neuroplasticity. The mind can change. The brain wants to evolve. It is biologically wired for transformation. Every time you choose a new response, interrupt a familiar thought spiral, or bring awareness to a reaction that used to be unconscious, you begin forming a new path. It might be shallow at first. It may feel uncomfortable, unnatural, but with consistency, emotion, and presence, that path deepens. And eventually, your energy flows there more naturally than the old route ever did. This is how you reshape your world, not by force, but by frequency, by giving your new beliefs enough energetic weight to override the old. You can begin right now by identifying one story you've outgrown. Just one. Maybe it's, I'm always behind. I don't deserve to be fully seen. I have to work hard to be worthy. People always leave. And instead of immediately trying to erase it, meet it, sit with it, ask, where did this come from? Who did I become to survive this belief? Is it still serving me, or is it silently sabotaging me? Then, with your hand on your heart or breath deep in your belly, introduce a new frequency, something like, I am exactly where I need to be. My presence is enough. I choose ease as my path to expansion. I attract stable, loving connection. Feel the difference? Not just in words, but in resonance. That shift, that subtle tilt of energy, is the beginning of a new reality being born through you. But it takes more than affirmations whispered in the mirror. It takes embodiment. Rewiring your mind also means rewiring your body, because the body stores emotional memory. That means moving differently, speaking with new certainty, creating boundaries you once avoided, saying yes to what aligns, even if it terrifies your old identity. You must become congruent with the reality you wish to live. And congruence is not perfection, it is alignment. That means your thoughts, emotions, and actions are no longer at war. They are working together, carrying the same signal. And when that signal becomes stable, reality responds, fast. People shift, opportunities appear, synchronicities become your new normal. Not because you forced change, but because you remembered your power to choose it. Rewiring the mind is a sacred act. It is a death and a rebirth. It is grieving the version of you who only knew how to survive, and honoring the version of you who is ready to thrive. There will be resistance. Old patterns will whisper. Some days will feel like backtracking. But even that is part of the process, because transformation is not linear. It's spiral-shaped. You revisit old beliefs from higher levels of awareness, and each time you choose differently, with more love, with more presence, with more sovereignty. You are not your thoughts. You are the thinker. You are not your past. You are the rewriter. And every time you pause to rewire, every time you breathe through the old and embody the new, you send out a new signal into the quantum field, one that reshapes not just your inner world, but the very fabric of the external one. This is how the mind becomes your ally. This is how you take back authorship of your life, not by escaping thought, but by mastering it, not by controlling reality, but by consciously co-creating it. And it all begins with one quiet, powerful question. What am I choosing to believe today? And is it building the life I truly desire? There is a quiet power within you that moves faster than your words, deeper than your actions, and more persistently than your circumstances. It's the invisible current that flows beneath everything you do, everything you are, and everything you become, your thought. And thought is not just mental noise. It's not just fleeting impressions or passing imaginations. Thought is energy information. It is the architecture of all form. Before a mountain is climbed, a child is born, or a decision is made, there is a thought, a signal, a frequency that precedes matter. This is why ancient wisdom teaches that all is mind, because the universe is not just made of particles, it is made of conscious intention. And your mind, when attuned and refined, becomes the most powerful alchemical tool you have to shape the life you live and the reality you walk through. The danger is not in having thoughts. The danger is in forgetting their sacredness. Because when you forget, you fall into repetition. You begin to recycle fears that aren't even yours. You repeat patterns inherited from generations that never had the chance to question their own programming. You let the noise of the world become the director of your inner world. And before you know it, your reality no longer belongs to you. It belongs to fear, to lack, to old scripts running without your conscious permission. But the moment you remember that thought is creation, the moment you return to your seat as observer, initiator, and channel, everything changes. This isn't about policing every idea that crosses your mind. It's not about becoming hyper-vigilant and afraid of bad thoughts. Thought policing is not mastery. Fear of thought is not power. What we're talking about here is relationship, a sacred, respectful relationship with the mind, where you are no longer ruled by it, but partnered with it. You begin to ask, does this thought uplift me or drain me? Does it expand my frequency or contract it? Is it aligned with the life I'm claiming, or a remnant of the one I'm leaving behind? And when the answer is clear, when a thought reveals itself to be rooted in fear, shame, scarcity, or separation, you do not need to fight it. You simply see it, you honor it, and you choose again. That is the real work. That is true sovereignty. Because one conscious thought, fueled by intention and belief, is more powerful than 1,000 unconscious ones swirling in the dark. One moment of clarity can undo years of self-sabotage. One affirmation, spoken not from hope but from knowing, can send ripples through the quantum field that rewire your entire timeline. So choose your thoughts not as a chore, but as a form of devotion. Let thinking become a ritual of remembrance. Let it become prayer. Let it become frequency work. And when you think with the body. Let your nervous system feel the new belief. Let your chest expand with the certainty that it's already happening. Speak your intentions not to beg the universe, but to remind it what you've already claimed. You are not asking reality to change. You are commanding it with love. You are impressing your inner world upon the outer one, like the sun impresses its warmth upon the earth, effortlessly, consistently, sovereignly. Because you were never meant to live as a passive participant. You were meant to initiate. You were never meant to be at the mercy of your thoughts. You were meant to direct them, shape them, refine them, like a sculptor working with light. This is the essence of mentalism, not manipulation, but mastery. The mind was never your enemy. It was never the obstacle. It was always waiting, patiently, for you to reclaim it as your ally, as your altar, as your sacred tool of creation. So take this moment now to close your eyes, take a breath, and feel into this truth. Your thoughts matter. Your beliefs hold power. Your consciousness is a beacon, and the universe listens to the signal it emits. What you think consistently, you become. What you feel deeply, you attract. What you believe without question, you create. So the question is no longer, how can I make my life better? The real question is, what am I thinking that my life is faithfully reflecting? Because the field doesn't judge, it only mirrors. And that mirror is ready to show you what happens when your thoughts are chosen, not inherited, not feared, not ignored, but consciously chosen, like seeds of light planted in sacred soil. So remember always, your thoughts are not random. They are creative codes. They are spells. They are portals. And you are the one who casts them. You are the one who shapes reality. You are the one who speaks life, or limitation, into form. Thought is sacred. Guard it, bless it, and let it serve your highest truth.